Well, congratulations for reaching to the last ending section of this study. And we're touching on the mentoring style of Jesus. Of course, we realize that Jesus is the best. He is the best teacher, the best leader, the best mentor, the best example to all of us. And although all of us have seen good leaders, and there are quite a lot of good leaders in the Bible, and we have seen in our lives sometimes good people, good leaders, good mentors, but nothing compares to Jesus, and he always remains the highest, the greatest example for us to follow. One of the things about Jesus Christ is that mentoring and discipling is not just theoretical or classroom. When the disciples were looking to him, when he first walked with his disciples, the disciples' first introduction to Jesus was through John the Baptist. They hear him say, "Behold the Lamb of God." And in Gospel of John it tells us that disciples came to Jesus and says, "Where do you live?" And remember, they don't know who Jesus was. They're just coming to know Jesus. And immediately Jesus just say, "Come and see." That's Jesus. His life was the mentoring, not just his words. And John understood that. John, who wrote the Gospel, says that one must love in word and in deed. Some people can have words, but their actions don't follow to their words. Jesus' mentoring style involved his life. His words were just the top end, the cream of his life. He says, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life." So it's the way, truth, and the life. And all his words just flow out from his life. Mentoring to many people is very theoretical, very teacher-student, classroom. But for Jesus, it involves his entire life. Mentoring for Jesus is like father. You spend all the time with your children. You're with them when they're down. You're with them when they're up. You're with them when they need you. You are with them even when they don't think they need you. But you're always there guiding, providing the whole spiritual fatherhood or spiritual motherhood for them. And that's what Jesus provided for his disciples, his very life. So he was open to his life. Many leaders today live a different life in public from a life in private. That inconsistency affects the power of mentoring and the power to impart. Because we can only impart who we really are. And Jesus could impart everything because he really was who he said he was. And impartation comes through in that way. Which explains why a lot of Christian parents find that their children go wayward, because what they say and what they do is two different things. So which one do you think the children will follow? What they say or what they do? Because the children will watch what they do and will follow. And what they say becomes empty. In the same way, we realize that Jesus' mentoring style is always the example first. And we have many incidences and situations. One of them was when Jesus, with his disciples, washed their feet. That was the climax. And you know when that took place? The finale before the cross. I mean, at his finest hour, he lowered himself to the lowest point, so that even Peter could hardly stand it. By that time, they had believed who he was, the Son of God. I mean, if he had started washing their feet at the beginning, it's different. He started washing their feet towards at the end. They saw the miracles, they saw his power, they saw his sonship, they saw his godhood, they saw everything. And they believed he was the Messiah, and for them it was an earthly king too. And at the climax of it, when they lifted him so high up the pedestal, he washed their feet, clothed himself just in a towel, and washed their feet. True mentoring is example. Number two is the giving of one's life to another. Jesus was prepared to give his life and sow his life into the disciples. He wrote no book. He left no instructions that are written. All he depended on, think about it, was whatever he said and did to his disciples. No instruction manual, no books, just those disciples, because he had inputted into their life. So mentoring is a process by which we are willing and through God's help pour our life into another life, trusting that the investment of our life in them will produce more seeds. That is true mentoring and true discipleship in Jesus. And this sort of summarized Jesus' style. Of course, Jesus also did teach. Jesus differentiated between the public teaching and his private teaching with his disciples. Example is Mark 4. He teach a parable outside, but inside he explained a parable. So a lot of things he teach publicly and he teach privately. He give a bit extra explanation. So mentoring is also a process by which one takes and explains in greater detail. Plus, I like Jesus' format. It was a question and answer. Most of the Bible in the Gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, look at when the teaching of Jesus occurred. Of course, there were a few great sermons here and there, like the Sermon on the Mount. Most of his teaching was along the way as they walk, as they encounter situations, as they have situations. And that is important for us to know, that Jesus' mentoring was practical. In every situation, he found an answer. He gave God's view. So that's Jesus' mentoring style.